Ladies, gentlemen, and tarnished of all ages, how do you feel about lightning? Yeah, it's cool, right? Well, what about lightning that also is red? And what if that red lightning was capable of dealing over 23,000 damage in a single cast? That's right, today we are revisiting Ancient Dragon Lightning Strike with some slight change up due to the balancing in the recent patch 1.07, which quite simply has just made this spell even stronger. It's not that the spell itself was buffed at all, so much as the things around it that were, things that can be used to make it even better. And it's worth noting, of course, that this was already one of the strongest builds that you could make for PvE purposes at least, even before this patch. It's just an incredibly powerful spell that has a lot of avenues for buffing it, but now it's just that much better. The reason this incantation is as strong as it is the way that AoE lightning abilities work in general. When you cast it, a rain of lightning bolts strike down from the sky. Each individual bolt of lightning has its own hitbox and its own damage, so if you hit one enemy with multiple bolts, it does multiple hits of damage. This means two things. Against larger targets, enemies that are just simply big and chunky, you will almost always hit a massive amount of the lightning bolts and thus get massive damage, such as the 23,000 hit on Placidusax, who it's worth noting is also fairly resistant to lightning damage. But even then, even on something as tiny as Melania, as an example, you can get about half of that damage still because there is a second way to hit with multiple bolts: movement. There is a specific range of this attack in the frontal angle where about 4 to 5 bolts hit pretty close together, and if your opponent is moving when this hits, they will more than likely take all of them, and that many hits is just insanely powerful within this build, to put it simply. There are few, if any, bosses that can stand up to this attack if you know how and when to use it, and the only real difficulty of execution with this build is simply getting off a relatively long cast time charged incantation, and even then, one, you can use it without charging it the whole way. You'll lose a little bit, but you won't lose a whole lot, and also doing it fully charged was made far easier in patch 1.07 too, due to buffs to a certain Ash of War. Endure. This Ash of War gives you near infinite poise and significant damage reduction now for 5 seconds after casting it, which is enough time to get off a fully charged Ancient Dragon Lightning Strike. As a result, this is even usable in PvP, even in duels where before it would just get dodged on repeat. Now you can just endure and bait your enemies into close range. Of course, it is still quite dodgeable if you time it right, but if you mess up even once, it will straight up one-shot you. This also has more usability in invasions where your target won't always be looking directly at you, but the fact that this actually can get kills in straight up duels now is pretty impressive in my opinion. On top of that, if you want to, you can also mix in the other red lightning incantations to still fit the theme while having some secondary options to change up the timings and pace of the fight as well. So, how does this all come together then? Obviously the spell itself is strong, but it won't do 23,000 damage if you just walk up and cast it naked with no equipment on.
So, this is what it's like being naked outside.
First up, we have the seal itself, the Gravelstone seal, and it's the perfect one for this build, given that it both has pretty good faith scaling on it in general, and also boosts the damage of all Dragon Cult incantations by 15%, which is quite a hefty bonus to start with. We are also, of course, using Golden Vow, the buffing incantation, which gives us another 15% buff, but to all of our damage this time. A second buffing incantation is used today as well, one that wasn't used much before patch 1.07, but will likely be used quite a bit more now, and that is Howl of Shabriri. This incantation buffs all outgoing damage by a whopping 25%, but also increases damage taken by 30%. This used to only last for 20 seconds, which is pretty hard to work around, but the recent patch doubled the duration of this incantation, so now it lasts for a full 40 seconds. On top of that, when you aren't using Endure, you'll be using the Jellyfish Shield's weapon skill, which boosts all damage by 20% for 30 seconds. Also on top of that, we of course have our talismans today, each one contributing even more damage. First, we have the Phlox Canvas Talisman for an 8% damage boost to all incantations. Then we also have the Godfrey Icon Talisman, which is a 15% damage boost to any charged skills or incantations. Then also the Lightning Scorpion Charm for an extra 12% boost to all lightning damage done. Then finally we have the Ritual Sword Talisman for an extra 10% damage while at full health. On top of that, we also have one last modifier from our Wondrous Flask of Physic, in which we are using the Lightning Shrouding Crack tier for another 20% boost to all lightning damage. Put simply, this attack itself does a lot of damage, damage, even when you aren't doing things with it. But then we are also boosting it by 15%, then by another 15%, then 25%, another 20%, another 8%, 15% again, 12%, 10%, and then 20% one more time. If that sounds like a lot, well, it is. Buffs in this game stack multiplicatively, meaning that they also apply one after another, so that they also buff the bonus damage from the other buffs applied. So our final total damage increase is about 364% of the original damage of the incantation. This incantation does 364% of its base amount of damage. Pretty nuts, right? So now let's talk about where to get all these little bits and pieces, everything you may want to include in the build itself. First up, of course, is the incantation, Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike. You get this from a prayer book that can be found by the Tempest-facing balcony side of Grace in Farum Azula on a corpse in the room immediately southwest of the Grace. As for the seal, you have to go to the West Capital Rampart side of Grace in Lane Dell, head north, and then jump off the balcony beside you to get down to ground level, at which point you'll see a couple of knights in front of you, and when you kill the one wielding the spear, he will drop this item for you. For the Endure Ash of War, simply purchase it from Bernal or his sword at Volcano Manor. For the Jellyfish Shield, you want to head to the foot of the Four Belfries side of Grace in Western Liurnia, then head directly north until you see a bunch of jellyfish surrounding a corpse, which of course is holding the shield itself. As far as the armor goes, simply wear whatever fashion you like that fits within your equip load to allow you to roll mediumly. Onto talismans then, the Phlox Canvas Talisman is dropped by killing Gowry in Gowry's shack in Caelid, but only once you finish the Millicent questline one way or the other. The Godfrey Icon Talisman is dropped from the boss in the Golden Lineage Everjail directly southeast of the lift in the Altus Plateau. The Lightning Scorpion Charm is in the Imp Statue sealed door located in the Windhem Catacombs on Mount Gelmir just after starting your approach from the south. And then the Ritual Sword Talisman is in a chest behind the boss of the Lux Runes, also in the Altus Plateau. The boss room is in the northwest of the area down some stairs. As for the Wondrous Flask of Physic, as already mentioned, you want the Lightning Shrouding Cracked Tier, and this one is found by defeating the boss located at the Minor Erdtree on the eastern side of Liurnia up in the hills. Then your other slot is somewhat personal choice, but I generally recommend the Cerulean Hidden Tier, just let you rain down loads of lightning for 15 seconds at the start of a fight with no FP cost, and this is found at the Minor Erdtree under Volcano Manor in Mount Gelmir. Then finally, our buffing incantations, Golden Vow is found in the Corpse Tent Shack on the eastern side of Mount Gelmir, and Howl of Shabriri is located on the second floor of the Frenzy Flame Tower, just north of the Frenzy Flame Village outskirts site of Grace in Liurnia. With that, we have covered all of the items and spells required to make this do an absolute boatload of damage, but what about your attributes? Well, first and foremost, you want to hit 80 Faith, the proper soft cap for incantation scaling damage. Then you want to reach a nice healthy amount of vigor. Anywhere above 40 is generally acceptable, but 60 is pretty ideal. You need to have 20 strength and 14 dexterity to wield the Jellyfish Shield, and the rest of your points split between mind and endurance as needed. 25 mind is just barely enough to cast the main incantations 4 times without needing a flask, so I recommend reaching this amount. Then split the rest of your points between more mind or endurance depending on how heavy an armor set you want to wear with this. As for how to make this all happen within combat, it's pretty simple. Before a fight begins, using Golden Vow, then Howl of Shabriri, then you use the Jellyfish Shield skill. Drink a mana flask to refill your FP, drink your Wondrous Flask of Physic, then launch off hell in your opponent's direction without a single care in the world. Absolute devastation. That's it then, everyone. A build capable of nearly one-shotting some of the tankiest bosses in the entire game. Nearly unstoppable and indirectly made significantly better in 2 separate ways thanks to the recent patch. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you absolutely enjoy melting your enemies if you use this for yourself. Like if you like the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.